he got on. Maybe he had 4 o'clock that he had to get off. We're looking for him. Just one sec. He is a little IT challenged sometimes, which I am too. So gosh, look at all the comments and all the chats. Oh my goodness, lots of people commenting and chatting. Now, he may have had to go for a 4 o'clock meeting. I don't know, because he had a 3 o'clock open. And he said, I have a 1, I have a 2. And then he says, but I have 3 open. I'm like, yes, but we're to 4. And I'm hoping he can get on because he really wanted to, but we got somebody looking for him. So let me just talk about some of these testimonials. They're awesome. I really want to talk about, okay, let's see here. Oh, Renee saying 16 centimeters off your tummy. People need these. These are just the things that we want to hear. Oh, Maurice, thank you. He did the translation there, the 5.5, that transfers to 12 pounds. So awesome. Thank you for that, Maurice. Just lots and lots of cool things, lots of great things for us to hear. I love the fact, did we find him? I love the fact of the other things, and I'll let Milo track him down if he can. If he doesn't have him, we've gone for a full hour and we'll have him again for the science part of it, because his was just kind of an add-on that I would, and there he is. So once he unmutes himself, seriously, we've had, almost 10 people on here who, from either having the product for a month or having the product for a week to week and a half. I mean, it's had amazing results. And here's the other cool thing, whether you're full keto, whether you're no keto, because you heard someone say, I can't do keto. Everyone's having results. That's how you know you have an amazing product. And then just the great things of the energy, the pain that people are feeling relief from. Seriously, this product, I love this. I'm so glad we're recording it. I think Tom is going to love to go through and listen to all these testimonials, because Tom, you have created the most amazing product. And everyone's been on here just talking about how cool it's been for them to, a lot of them have had, how it's been with COVID, sitting there, gaining weight and not being as active as they used to be, not being able to go to gyms. So putting the pounds on and getting this product. And then along with the Sisel Sport, it's just, it's way beyond. We had some people from the US get on. They've had it longer. So their results, this is some cool stuff.
It's very exciting. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. And we are starting a revolution. And I'll tell you what, it's really gaining ground fast. And so last night when I left work here about 8:30, I called Sisel and she told me that she was having this call. And I said, wow, I'd love to jump on there. I spent an hour yesterday with the Italians, the day before talking to the Germans. They're just getting ready to launch. We've already launched here about 5 weeks ago in the States, or almost 5 weeks, and just about 3 weeks ago in New Zealand, Australia. And there are hundreds of bottles of going out every single day. And what does that mean? That means people are losing weight and they're feeling great, and they're testimonies of the product. And what's that doing? We see recruiting going up, we see checks going up, but most importantly, we're seeing healthy people. And this is something back last summer that I was working on, because I go through and pick up pieces of knowledge and ingredients and make contacts all the time. For over 30 years, I've done that as I develop products. And like I was telling Sisel earlier or later last year, we have got to put together effective weight loss. And if we start now, we have the opportunity to get this product out there and let people try the product and let them see the results for themselves. And that right there will dictate, to what level it goes. And I made the comparison yesterday. I was telling the people that we have in Italy, I said, you can take something mediocre like Cambridge was in the 80s and Herbalife, and those are simple protein replacement shakes. And you can take something that's thermogenic like Metabolite. Well, they built hundreds of millions of dollars in business and sales based on that product. And many distributors became extremely wealthy off of that. And absolutely, they were a piece of the puzzle. Consuming protein and not carbohydrates definitely helps. Metabolite with their thermogenesis definitely helps. But the nice thing about science is that we look for better ways to do that. And so, and me for one, I'm one of the test subjects. I've lost 14 kilos, and I'm not to where my goal, where I want to be. But I'll tell you what, I thought, I'm going to be a human guinea pig and like everybody else out there, and let them experience the results. Because if it works like my hypothesis was, it'll be contagious. All it will take is somebody losing weight and talking about the product to build the organization that they had always dreamed about. And so over the years, as I'm picking up different pieces on what's effective on weight loss and understanding really the different forms of energy and how do we control appetite and how do we make sure that we have plenty of nutrients to our brain so that we stay focused. I pick up these little pieces as I study brown seaweed and limamui. And then as we tear down the limamui into fucoidan, and we also find there's a small fraction that's thermogenic, and that is the fucoxanthin that you find in the Sisel Thin product. Now that's just one component. But when you look at how we lose weight, it really comes to mind control. I used to practice this on Liesel as a kid, but they have this saying that you can't hypnotize a chicken, and I believe in that. They have to have a little bit bigger brain. But we really, with our own personal lives, we have to, and losing weight, we have to have mind control, because we have to, many times we eat out of habit and we consume. And as we have, over the last 300 years, we go back to the 1700s, we're consuming 4 pounds of sugar. And then we jump into the 1800s and it goes up 5 or 6 times. And to now, people consume about 200 pounds of sugar every single year. Well, what happens with that? We can't burn off that kind of energy. Number one, all that sugar, our health goes down because there's no nutrients in that. It's just quick energy. But it doesn't give us any of the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, the proteins, the different things that we need. And so as our calories go up, our bodies have to store it. And so it's kind of like a hoarder, where they're saving old magazines and shoes, and pretty soon the house is full. Well, with carbohydrates, it's the same thing. Your insulin's picking it up and it's putting it in fat cells and muscle cells. And where are we going to store all this extra energy? So one thing we have to do is reduce that caloric intake. And a piece of this puzzle is a more of a ketosis-friendly diet, meaning that we lower the carbohydrates, the noodles, the breads, the big starches, and things like that. We can consume less. We can consume more proteins. That's not a problem. We can even consume more fats. That's not a problem either. Here's the big if we are in ketosis. Now, what that means is if we had a big lever right here in the middle of our forehead, when the switch is flipped this way, we're burning carbohydrates and we're consuming them, and our brain's feeling nutrified and feeling satisfied because we're drinking pop, eating candy bars, eating donuts, all the things that we should really limit in our diet. And so our brain says, yeah, we have energy, because the number one organ in our body that needs energy is our brain, because it's our control center, it's our computer. Now, what happens in times of diet when we can't consume? Let's say we're stranded on a desert island, we don't have access to McDonald's and all these places that are out to destroy our health long term. Well, what happens is the switch flips and we go into ketosis. And when that happens, our body says, whoa, we need energy. Where are we going to get it? Then it looks all over your body for where you have stored energy, which is in the form of fat. And at that point, the body starts to process that. And then, because there's lots of energy in fat, and it has to go through a process called ketosis. And at that point, it starts to burn, and what comes off of that burn are ketones, and our brain runs on those. In fact, it runs even better, and our mental focus even goes up. And people who start to get into that ketosis, they feel satisfied. They feel like I'm getting plenty of nutrients, which they are, as long as they're taking their Encompass and other things that they need to round out their diet. So one of the main ingredients in Sisel Thin are ketones. We consume these and boom, all of a sudden the brain says, we're in ketosis. We're not so concerned about burning these carbs, and it gives us a margin of error. So when we slip and have a donut here and there and things like that, it keeps us into ketosis more. So our body is consuming this fat, and we're getting all the energy and the mental focus that we need as we're shrinking in size. Just the other day, I was looking at pictures from 3 or 4 years ago when I was in Australia, and I thought, who's that fat guy there with that beautiful bridge in Sydney? Well, that was me. And and I'm not to my goal yet, but I'll tell you what, this works. And you look at what happens with businesses. I go back, into the 80s when we started, and with mediocre formulations, but people would lose weight if they really followed that diet. They built multi-million-dollar organizations. But Sisel Thin doesn't just stop at that. We don't just produce ketones. We don't just have thermogenesis, which accelerates fat burning because we elevate a slight degree of temperature in our body. But fucoxanthin also helps make fat more readily available to burn. So our body's not searching so much. It's like, oh, here it is. It's almost like it's on a conveyor belt. Let's get it going. Let's turn that into energy. And so we have that in there. Now, there's other components over the years that I've studied as far as insulin control, the ability to pick up these simple carbohydrates and big influxes of insulin levels, and cortisol when it elevates. And that'll elevate when we have anxiety, we have stress, we have low sleep. And then when that is produced, it almost forms a barrier, especially around our midsection, to burn fat. And so this is where I have ashwagandha. I have limamui. Let's control insulin levels. Let's not have big spikes where we're out there trying to pick up these nasty carbs that we're trying to reduce. Let's lower these cortisol levels. So once again, we're making fat easier to go in because our brain's flipped to ketosis. We're consuming ketones and it's saying we're in fat burning mode. Still, we want to maintain our diet. Now, after about 2 or 3 weeks, when I first started taking this product, I thought, I eat 90% out of habit. It's kind of like going down through the mess hall and the cafeteria, and they give you a scoop of potatoes, a scoop of beans, some pudding, and this and that. Well, I was kind of the same way. I went home and I thought, when my plate has the perfect circumference, then that's probably what I need. And all of a sudden I started not eating as much. And my wife's like, are you sick? What are you doing? How come you're not eating as much? And I said, because I'm full. And then I started to recognize my brain was telling me, Tom, you've had enough. You're going to become uncomfortable if you eat more. And naturally, my portion sizes went down. And what's the result? My weight started to go down. And so if you're like Liesel and you have a horrible parasite that you picked up from a stray animal, you don't have this problem. But for people like me, I'm like Santa Claus most of the year. And so I need a little extra help. So
you know what, Tom, before you got on, we had 10 people get on, and so many of them said they feel full. That's
it. And you start to notice that. You're like, well, I usually have more than a bowl of this or a scoop of that. But you're like, and then all of a sudden you start noticing it's like I had my belt I took off the other day and I laid it on a paper, and there were about 4.5 inches from where I was at in August, where I was at in September, and then I had punched 4 different holes in my belt. And I thought, well, that's kind of an interesting way to measure it, but it kind of made a real graphic for me to see just how much less belt that I need. I don't know if I can equate that into savings through dollars, but I need less leather now to have a nice belt. Now, something that out of habit, many of us do, me included, I love our Sisel Cafe coffee in the morning, and there's nothing wrong with that. But also many people, they like to have a Diet Coke or Energy Bang or Monster and all these different drinks that are full of high sugars and loaded with caffeine and a lot of the things to get their motor going. So now, once again, over many years, I believe that caffeine definitely can be safe. It definitely plays a part in keeping our metabolism going. You know, we get up in the morning and, we're a little bit foggy brained. And that's one thing you'll love about ketones. One thing everybody experiences, even if they don't lose weight, if they're just dying to consume all these high calories, their brain, because ketones really make your brain focus and you really feel fired up. Now, Sisel Sport, this product is the ideal product. And we talk about it being a pre-workout product. Well, it's a great pre-workout product. Don't get me wrong, but I developed it for much more than just pre-workout. This product, and I'm sure many of you have tried that now. It has kind of a pink lemonade flavor, and it's not artificially sweetened. It has stevia in that formulation. Just as a side note, products with sucralose, I was reading studies the other day, 1 packet of Splenda reduces about half of the microflora in your digestive system. And a lot of weight loss can be contributed to not having enough microflora in their system. So be very careful with a lot of the artificial sweeteners you're exposed to, because the bacteria in your body cannot really process those. I mean, they are no calories, but it's actually very detrimental to them. And we need that bacteria so that we can digest healthy fibers and form butyrate, which is another ketone. And so it's very important. So Balance D is a very great product to be part of your diet, because you've got a prebiotic, you've got a probiotic, you have the chicory root and everything that the bacteria can help to digest to keep it going. So back to Sisel Sport. So when I formulated this product, I thought about a lot of things about what does it mean to be tired? What does it mean to lack energy? Even one thing that you see a lot with nitric oxide is people are looking for a little more romance in their life. And when we're younger, we have blood flowing, and we talk about being hot-blooded and all of these things. And that's because of nitric oxide. And so nitric oxide is very important to heart health. Nitric oxide helps us when we exercise, because it relaxes the arteries and blood flow can continue at a much greater volume, and volume that carries nutrients, energy, oxygen. And so what we find with this formulation, we have alanine in there. One thing you'll find with this formulation, in all the studies, it shows that with the citrulline, the alanine that we have in there, the L-arginine, your nitric oxide increases, but from a pre-workout, and it might be pre-workout that you're working in the garden, your muscles fatigue less, you can exercise longer. So if you're going in the outback for a big hike and you want to, hike an extra 3 or 4 kilometers, you go for it, because you're going to have that kind of energy. You're going to have better blood flow. Your muscles won't fatigue. And then it does have caffeine into it. You're going to get that thermogenic effect. but you've got the nitric oxide in there. And so this is a formulation for everyone. It's not just a specialty product for weight loss, but it is low calorie. So if you're used to drinking a liquid candy bar in a cup, switch to Sisel Sport and get the nutrient value that you need, the energy that you need. And one thing about Sisel Thin that I've told a lot of people when I take this product too, it says 1 to 2. Reality is I'll take, and 1 to 2 is fine a day. It take 2 a day, but I actually take 4 to 6 myself. I like to take 2 in the morning, about 20 or 30 minutes before I'm going to eat something, and I'll half the time I'll do that if I'm going to eat something at lunch, and then I always do it at night, 20 to 30 minutes prior, and I will consume it with a beverage. And typically it'll be 16 ounces or so, and then that does a couple of things. It helps, it breaks it down, it gets it through your system quicker, but it also makes you feel a little more full. And then all that water or whatever the beverage is full of ketones, and they're going throughout your body, and you're like, yeah, we're going to eat dinner as a family, but I'm really not that hungry, so I'll eat a normal portion like people did 100 years ago. And so with obesity rates, most people, about 66%, are over obese, and it's sad to see what's happened over the last 300 years. But it comes down to one thing. It's the quality of the products or the food that we eat and the quantity. And so this addresses that exact problem from another aspect. We'll never get rid of all the fast food restaurants and drive-thrus out there. That's always going to happen. But we can make our mind realize that we have enough. So thank you for letting me be part of this today and taking a few moments.
Now, I'm just going to ask you one thing, and you can be really quick on it. We do have people, and they'll say, oh, yeah, we have a ketone product and the keto product. How is ours, just off the cuff? Because I know you know, but explain quickly how ours is so much better than what's out there.
So what you're going to find in 90% of these, these keto products is they are ketones only, or ketones with caffeine. And that's about 99% of what's out there. They don't address cortisol levels. They don't address insulin levels. They do nothing for that, because like I said, it's not just one thing that stops us from losing weight. It's many things within our body. It can be cortisol levels. It can be insulin levels. It can be how available is the fat, because the fucoxanthin will prepare the fat to go through. They find that in many studies that the fat burns quicker with fucoxanthin, and that's a great thing. And so this is a compound that's exclusive to us, this formulation. No one else has this formulation. No one else has done the research. Are there products that sell just fucoxanthin? Absolutely. Are there products that contain ashwagandha? Absolutely. Very few have limamui. I don't see many of those out there that are weight loss products. Do other products have BHBs in there to produce ketones? Absolutely. But nobody's taken all these together. I've had a few people say, well, if I went out and bought ashwagandha, that would be $15, $20. If I went out and bought just fucoxanthin, that would be $20, $30. If I just went and bought BHBs, that's going to be $30. If I want to have a limamui product, that's going to be $20 to $30 for that volume. Well, it's all right here in one simple formulation. And the beauty of that, where we have the lab, we have the manufacturer, we encapsulate it, we control it. So all of those different steps for different products are part of the Sisel mission.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. I'm going to send you all of these testimonials we had. They were awesome.
I'll tell you what, and that is the manna from heaven for me. I've got 3 or 4 from back east I'm going to go listen to right now before I go home. And they're taking their measurements, their weights, and they're sharing all that. And that's where the business opportunity comes in. You're your own walking billboard. You're your own walking magazine. People are like, what are you doing? I want to be part of that. It really starts a contagious revolution in weight loss. And I'll tell you what, we're doing it hundreds of bottles in the first few weeks. We're going out every single day. So thank you, everyone. And I'm glad you're part of this. This is going to be exciting.
Well, and they're all saying thank you to you. They understand it now. Love these ingredients. This makes sense. I get it. Tom, thank you for the science. So a few of you appreciate you harassing me. It reminds you of Dad. So we appreciate you.
I really love my sister, and I think she's wonderful.
Oh, you're awesome. I love you. This is great, and appreciate you having us on today. Thanks, Tom. So this call is awesome. One thing we might do, we'll obviously have this put up like we normally do, put it into a recording, and but we can also split it and put part of that science. Now, I wanted to ask him that question at the very end, because we were talking the other day about our product and how we differentiate from other products out there. And so I'm kind of trying to put something together that kind of shows that in a graphic. And I wanted him to explain that, because we don't just have one ingredient out there, where a lot do. And he truly has taken the time to put other ingredients in there that really help to make such a big difference, because not one thing helps everybody. And that's the one thing I love about what Tom Sr. did in many of his formulas. He always said, I add more active ingredients because everybody's biology is so different. What works for one person may not work for somebody else. And what works for this person may not work for this person. So you're going to have a much better chance of success if you're adding, and, they all kind of work synergistically together. But I think I just love that. And it's a more expensive product, obviously, to make. He did that with Transfusium, but Tom's done that with this one. I wanted him to kind of mention that, and we'll come up with that because there is a difference between this and a lot of the products that were out there. Listen, it's 4:32. I have a 4:30 meeting, which I'm fine about, but this has been an awesome call, has it not? I mean, just listening to all the testimonials, they were amazing. I really am, I haven't even heard as many things about, I guess, how people are feeling as far as pain relief. And I love stuff like that. Just, anybody who can get any kind of relief like that in their life, just rolling out of bed, feeling better. I mean, isn't that better? I mean, seriously, these small things and changes in people's life, they're big things. And I love it. So we'll keep having these testimonials. From here on out, we're going to be doing training for most of the time, our usual calls. Now, our next call is on, I wrote this down and I don't know where it is, so I'm going to get to it. I don't know where it is, but I'm thinking the 20th from memory. Someone tell me if I'm wrong, but I have somebody coming on. She's someone who's built a very successful business in Sisel. She's a mom. She's got a lot of kids. She's kind of somebody that you might look at and think, and she is literally one of our biggest leaders. She's going to come in and she's going to talk about how she did it, give you a lot of tips, a lot of tricks, and just kind of a different way to look at the business. I think a lot of us feel like we have to do a lot of different things, and I think her approach is going to give a lot of people some great ideas to kind of look at, and any different ways that we can get people on here to help you use the products and build your business. That's kind of what our goal for is this year. I want to thank everyone who got on and did a testimony for me. They were awesome. I loved it. Wish we could have had a little more time for that. I felt like I was chopping everybody off on that, and I wanted a couple of them to go a little bit longer, but gosh, here we are at 4:30. And but this is going to be awesome once we get this up into a recording. So great call, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the 20th. Again, any emails that you want, any things that you're seeing on the website with the products, with anything that you're saying, hey, this is kind of something I wish we could change, fix, whatever, send it to me and we'll take a look at it. I'm loving these, and we'll have these updates, have people on. I'm thinking every call we'll have a couple of people kind of tell us how they're doing with this, and keep tabs with them with that. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.